Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the High School Esports Showcase brought to you by Stay Plugged In, the NECC, and Helix Esports. My name is Booker. I'm joined by the ever astute Wealku himself, and we're on the mic on a LAN. This is exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Stay Plugged In, for having us. But before we jump into this matchup, let's get a word from one of our sponsors here. It's going to be the Army ROTC. And we want to thank our sponsor, U.S. Army Cadet Command, ROTC, for providing the prize pool for this event. ROTC is the largest source of officers and generals for the U.S. Army, and is the largest grantor of college scholarships in the United States. Thank you.
Hey, shout out to the Army, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing some good games today, indeed. Slammers versus Shenanigans. We have some rosters up that we're going to be showing you guys as well of these teams. This is a high school event, by the way, so if you are a recruiter looking to bring on some very star-studded players, this is the place to be at. All right, so some Shenanigans. I don't know a whole bunch about the team, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, but I do know some of the other teams that are here to play.
Yeah.
Project Neo being one of the biggest ones. We have Aqua Core as well. And last one, did you know that there's XTL player that's here?
I had heard the rumblings.
The rumblings, yeah. We might have some stuff in store for you guys as well. It's going to be very hype. So, as soon as the players are ready to go, we're going to be heading straight into the match here. But it's going to be on Consulate. Now, Consulate, one of your favorite maps. I'm not the biggest fan, truthfully. Chalet's in the map pool, and that's always exciting to watch. But Consulate's going to be what we're stuck with. Window Simulator itself.
Yeah, so it's a very aggressive map, right? And it's an older map. It hasn't been reworked, so it's one of those old school maps that people maybe want to see rework for because it's been played out. So it's a map that, you know, if you've practiced on it, you kind of know how it's going to play out. It's going to be attacker sided more often than not, but you know, again, that's just a rule of thumb. Don't always
We've seen a lot SI, right?
Yes.
Brazil Rock walks into the room. They're like, all right, we got Coastline, yeah. We got Consulate, we ready to go.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most picked maps, I think.
Yeah, it was, and we definitely saw in the grand finals there. So,
which was hype.
Yes,
that was hype.
I was kind of disappointed. My boys Liquid, choked that one a little bit.
They still won.
Yeah. Well, I think they lost that.
No, they did lose.
Yeah, that was.
No, I was trying to give you some hope.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Wes.
Yeah, trying to make me realize I'm a boomer and my recall isn't very great. Trying to make me question my memory.
Yeah, no, we're all getting old. I can feel it in my bones.
Well, I just want to talk about these teams a little bit.
Right.
So, again, not very well known, right? We don't know them. Well, we know some of the teams.
So there's a couple teams. There's a team that actually flew all the way from Texas to be as well. I'm not sure which team they're currently under. It might actually be TSG here, but we're going to have to take a look at it. And we're going to get a little bit more information as we get further on into the series here. But like we said, just waiting a few more of the players to get in. It will be Slammers on defense to start things off with. Now, the meta on Consulate has very much shifted recently as well. Ace used to be one of the biggest, I would say, problem childs for any defending force when having to fight on Consulate, because basement almost impossible to hold through when he actually they get open the wall, right? They're coming in, they got the smokes, and the smokes are the big thing. That's why they had to bring the Maestros with it. But with him losing his smokes and being over to Thermite, Thermite's now become the main hard-breaching operator on a map like this, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of plays like that, but we'll have to see during the ban phase for sure.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, is like preference to a certain degree as well, because you do still get 3 of those charges, and you can't really bandit trick them.
Right.
So there's still advantages to bringing Ace, which we did still see sometimes, but yeah, you're right. It will more definitely going to be going to the Thermite on average, but we don't know. Again, we don't know these teams well enough because, but everyone is in the lobby, so we can jump on in here as soon as we get the go-ahead. And, see what those bans are. So.
Right. Speaking of meta changes, though, Frost, a lot more Frost these days.
Yes.
And it's been very popularized on Chalet, but the inclusion of that Shoddy has also made here kind of a pick on other maps. Like when you're looking at Consulate, right, there's a lot of, you got some stairwells, you got a lot of windows, as we were talking about beforehand, so I definitely know. And for those of you just tuning in, if you're not really familiar with R6, don't worry, we're going to be here guiding you through it. I know there's a lot of parents that are going to be tuning in, rooting on their teammates, their sons and daughters here as they are competing. So when it comes to R6-2, tactical shooter, you're going to be seeing a lot of things on the screen that the players themselves cannot see. For instance, tracking all of the utility. We'll have some handy-dandy overlays that'll kind of track all of the utility available. That's going to be cameras. That's going to be little specific gadgets that each operator can deploy, and we'll kind of be talking through which what those really look like as they're being going on through the matches. The other things that we will see is the outlines of the opposing team through the walls, and they can't see that, right? So that the players that are watching, and it's a little bit confusing. I know I've seen when CS:GO has a very similar look, right? Another tactical shooter. They have this thing where people are like, oh man, I have no clue why people can see through walls. This seems ridiculous. But yeah, definitely they can't see that. It is still competitive.
Right. Yeah, we have the integrity here. So gonna be getting more information, right? We might even get the overhead view so we can see where they're gonna be placing some of these gadgets, and we can point that out, try and guide you through this a little bit again, like you said, help you understand it just slightly better. And we'll be using some terms, so hopefully we can break
we're gonna try
down.
we're gonna definitely break down any terminology that we use to make it easier for people who have not watched a lot of R6. So, and we're getting into game. Going
here we go
into console. This is what I like to see. Bans wise, actually, I do think Thermite's going to be hitting the ban list potentially. Aces used to be a very popular attacking operator to get banned, but next to him is going to be Thatcher. And honestly, I haven't seen a match with Thatcher in forever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I expect him to get banned.
Right, exactly.
Right, so unfortunately, it probably won't be today that we're going to see him play.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
pour one out. SAS operators.
Maybe a coastline game you'll see him play.
Right, exactly. Just what we were talking about. Sad to see him go. And the reason for that, by the way, Thatcher is an operator that can completely negate utility for a short amount of time, which means that things like reinforced walls that are further reinforced by electricity gadgets, right, are null and void, right? You can kind of remove those, and that's why he's taken off of the table. In addition to Sledge, which is not one that I was definitely expecting right out the gate, but makes a lot of sense. Sledge has a sledgehammer, he hits floors. What more do you need?
Right, and this map, something to be made aware of is that it's very soft destructive, right? So meaning you can blow the floors open looking up through the beams, I guess you could say, the middle lines that would be blocking your lines of sight, and you can get a lot of kills that way. Well, we talked about basement before, very standard hold, probably the best defensive site. There are bomb sites, in case anyone didn't know that, that the defenders will be trying to protect, basically, and the attackers will be trying to push in and plant this diffuser. If they can get that down and they can win on time, we'll be talking about that a little bit more as we go further here, but the general idea is that the Sledge is used to help with that push for the attackers. You can see from above, push these defenders out of key positions, and it makes the take a lot easier for them. So him being banned away, it's going to make it a little more difficult. There is a player, an operator named Buck, who can do a lot of self-destruction. So we might see him play a little bit here. Cade, he can throw these claws that electrify things, meaning hatches can be reinforced all the time. With him off the board, meaning the hard breach can now open up those reinforced hatches a lot more easily. So you see Hibana being brought. Her job will probably be opening up those hatches for that basement hold, for example. And Clash being banned, that's, more of a target man. It's just an annoying operator that teams don't like to face. It's a shield operator on defense, meaning you can't really shoot them directly, and they can electrify you and annoy you. So off the board, it's just more to make you more comfortable.
Exactly, and we see this pick selection. So with these competitive rule sets, essentially, you will have to reveal to the opposing team the exact operators that you're bringing. Except for one, that's going to be the 6th pick operator you saw from Shenanigans. Furia was actually moving from always get the names mixed up. I'm moving from one operator over to Twitch. Pushing the other thing, Hijinks is going to be switching on to Jaeger here, and those are very mainstay operators for this meta, very specifically. Jaeger, one of those an operator that can kind of catch projectiles to locate a bomb and defuse it. Attackers have located a bomb. These defensive positions for the defenders give it a little bit more safety.
Yeah, these attackers, to bring in the IQ, it's going to help them see a lot of that gadgetry. And we mentioned before, the floors are really soft destructible, meaning you can shoot bullets through them. And so they can see these mute jammers, which can, disrupt the hard breach, but it can also disrupt drone work. The bandit bringing the charges that can be put on the wall to make it electrified is another one of those ops. And so IQ is going to be helpful in shooting those gadgets and eliminating them so they can get some of this destruction out. We're going to see Legion sees the drone being thrown in. You're going to shoot that right away. I think that was a Twitch drone. Twitch, her gadget is a drone that can shock things and destroy them or temporarily disable them, I believe, now.
Yes.
So that's an interesting decision to throw a drone that's so vital to you in like that, but it gets shot right away. So these defenders aren't going to have to worry about that so much. Hibana already inside getting the hard breach work we were talking about, the hatches in the bathroom here, so she's going to be opening that up. She also brought these soft breach charges to kind of help blow up in this floor. We had talked Sledge eliminated. Well, here's one way to work around that. Get that floor opened up.
Yeah, and this is more of a turtle strategy synonymous with these basement holds, this cafeteria garage hold. A lot of the defenders are going to be staying on site as much as they can and trying to be just holding these angles. You see Grit here, over He's not going to get the first frag as that comes to Smiles. Macaroni taken down. That's a Legion off the table. No more Legion traps are going to be deployed for the rest of the game.
Yeah, 5v4 now, so these attackers are going to have that man advantage, and they have plenty of time. Look at this destruction coming through only halfway through the round, so they're going to be having a lot of wiggle room when it comes to getting the execute down. We're going to see a push through yellow stairs here. Zofia just constantly staying there and getting a second kill on the round onto Hijinks. So that's going to be Smiles trying to carry his team forward here into this round, try and get the first round one for them. Two-man advantage now, but
yeah, and he's just really throwing himself down the stairs here. No one can contest the Zofia of Smiles. And he's going to try to fight the last three defenders. And it really doesn't look like the rest of his team's doing much besides giving him information. He just won another fight. That was actually Splatter. Grabs up the kill. Mopar Grit's going to be falling. And that's yet another kill for Smiles straight through the wall. Gonzo taken down. It's all the way down to Mez. PS Defuse is being fighted by Splatter. He was able to stop it, but his position has been now given away. And Smiles is going to try to close it up, but it will be Bramster that actually gets the kill there. Must be taken down in Shenanigans. A very commanding attack here on one of the strongest sites of Consulate. Makes me a little bit worried here for Slammers, Wes.
yeah, Slammer's getting slammed, if we can say that, on the first round.
Only one back. Give him a break.
I know, that was a little mean. But hey, Shenanigans on the back of Smiles, coming in, getting those entry frags. Right?
Three-piece, I think.
Right, a 3K on the round. So something to watch going forward. Is going to have that amount of impact because that's one round. You know, hopefully he can keep that consistency going, but certainly a huge advantage to get that opening kill. We talked about that a couple times in our past casts, so something to keep an eye on
A lot, actually.
Yes, is who can get that opening kill, because then you're putting your team in a huge advantage. You have an extra man, and if you're on attack, especially with time being on your side like we saw, that's really well done. Now, you mentioned Slimers on their defense. What can they do to kind of fix that? They gave up a lot of control. I would actually, I'd like to see a bit more of a roam game, meaning these defenders need to be around the map, harassing them, making them take more time to clear the rest of the map so they can start working on that soft destruction.
Yeah, something of note, by the way, we are currently in the prep phase. This is both important for the defenders, but more important for the attackers, I would almost say. So this is about 30 seconds that the defenders can take to set up the site, right? So you see them reinforcing walls, these soft walls they were shooting, the attackers were shooting through previously, can be reinforced up to make sure that it prevents sight lines. But for the attacker side, they are droning. And we can see that only one drone has been taken down by Slammers to try to deny some information from Shenanigans, but this also means that 4 other drones are currently sitting in the building providing information to the attackers, and this is where the strength of a team like Shenanigans really comes through, because we saw how commanding they were previously, and a lot of that comes from their ability to get the information that they need. Good drone work, Wes. It's the name of the game.
Right. Speaking of drone work, they only have one drone eliminated, so that's something you want to keep an eye on when you're watching these teams as well. How well are they protecting that utility? A nice peek out from Mopar is going to get it down onto Jigbone. Doesn't secure the kill quite yet, and so might be able to get helped up. It depends if a teammate is going to be able to help them up in the nick of time. They are going to bleed out, so they do need a teammate to help them up, else they will die. So Mopar are going to just kind of puppy guard that, see if we can get that kill. But in the meantime, I want to talk about this bomb site upstairs. Worst site statistically for defenders.
Really?
Yeah, so it's actually really hard to defend the site. Interesting to see them going here, but maybe that's the change they need. Mopar actually going to get a kill on the Smile, so he didn't get that kill into Jigbone earlier, but makes up for it here, eliminating that really important entry fragger from the first round. Now he will have no impact on this round.
Smiles taking down this with Slammers in a very much better situation. You were talking about the second floor being statistically the worst site. Oh, Splatter grabs up again, another kill. Hijinks. Falling, unfortunately, that's a Vigil taken off the table as well, but this is a site that a lot of ranked stacks like to go to because it's a comfort pick, right? I think of most players when they are playing ranked, they opt for the second floor in general just because of the comfortability. That's really might be what we're coming through here. Not super sure how comfortable these teams are with each other, right? With playing with their current teammates, so I can definitely understand that.
Well, Splatter looks comfortable in the bomb site. Interesting.
Did he
His
fall?
teammate just falls and
no.
is downed outside. That's the diffuser downed as well. Splatter, though, going to get that kill onto Macaroni. Macaroni did get a kill onto Jigbone, though, so it is still an even man count. It's going to help his teammate up, and they're going to be able to jump inside the bomb site here, but unfortunately, they didn't utilize that control that they had previously had. Mopar getting that kill onto Splatter, but a down onto Mopar himself. So unless he gets helped up, this is a 2v2. Boya going to get that kill onto Mesp, so it is essentially a 1v2 as the plant is going down. Gonzo over here gonna have to make something happen. He's not gonna help his teammate up, and he's gonna die. Abramster is gonna be sealing the deal on that round. They did end up winning it, even though they lost that open.
Yeah, that was 2 kills by Abramster, just closing it out. And yeah, this is, while we talk about the importance of opening frags from the teams, sometimes it's just not enough. And this is definitely shown here as Smiles, even though we taken out early, his team was able to get a victory. All right, going into round 3, console meeting, running it back here, Wes. You know how we feel about that one, though.
Yeah, repeating the same bomb site was. We'll just talk about it quickly.
Right, let's go into it.
Right, you're giving away your plan the first time.
Right,
and a lot of the times teams can't make vast adjustments to their holds. Right, you have a plan in place, and you can make some adjustments, but overall, the other team kind of knows what to expect. What positions are you going to be playing? Now, granted, they could very well change up, right? They could have players in very different positions.
Right, they could.
But it doesn't.
When you're not playing with people, right? When you're not playing with people on a consistent basis, it's hard to work on multiple different strategies, right? So that's where the importance of experience comes, of experience with your teammates and experience in the competitive scene in general. Now, we see a bit of a change on the defending half. Hijinks bringing Doc, which I kind of suggest might be a good round, especially with the amount of peeking that they're doing here.
Yeah, the aggressive peaks from Mopar did get it down, and he got the opening kill, so that really was a huge advantage early on, but unfortunately they let it slip away, so I think that's going to be a telling tale here. Can they clean that up? Because if you keep letting rounds slip like that, you're going to find yourself down more rounds than you'd be comfortable.
We see why, right? The biggest thing is the refrags, shenanigans. Every time that they have been put into a man disadvantage, they've been able to shore it up as quickly as possible because they have teammates in place to refrag to get the kill that got the kill, right? It's a good breaking down of it. But Slammers has not been able to do that effectively. While they do have more information on their side, we're looking at operators like Valkyrie who are able to throw these more portable cameras. They have not been using the information as effectively as they might need to make sure that they can get those refrags as needed.
Right, and we talked about the IQ before. You can see gadgets. Well, that's another reason you're going to see it brought a lot is because Valkyrie is on the board, meaning her camps can be thrown outside, be thrown in these cheeky little corners.
Right.
Them. So IQ is going to be trying to find those out because information is so vital in this game. Cannot stress enough the importance. So to see these drones getting shot, right, we just saw there, that's unfortunately wasted utility. Almost half the drones are gone from these attackers. So the drone economy, while we saw it was pretty good the first 2 rounds, this time not looking so great. Only a minute in, they're already losing that many drones.
And Slammers has been taking steps to mitigate shenanigans advantages here. I like what they've been doing where they've been kind of like moving together as a unit, which is not something that we saw on that first map. It's something you criticized them for, where they did not have much of a roam game. While there is not necessarily a huge roam game, they do have more of an extended hold here as they have operators and they have some of the teammates dedicated to the other side of the top floor. But this is actually going to be a little bit of a rush into the bathroom. Smiles again, the first one taken down. Slammer's going to be able to get a refrag going through. Gonzo grabbing up another kill for himself. This man advantage is firmly in Slammer's control, but they got to be careful as yet more players from Shenanigans are going to be barreling through this bathroom area. And it's Gonzo. Rotates a little bit more dangerous to get to. He does have a way out of the console area, but Buya's going to grab up, get another kill for himself, and that was Jigbone putting some damage down range and trying to provide some information for his teammates, and is now suddenly a 3v2 Wes. Shenanigans has the man advantage.
Yeah, Jigbone, they're all hanging out on the top of yellow here, and the push early on didn't work out. Gonzo going to kill onto Jigbone, making it closer. Now Hijinks also going to take out Emergencer, actually. So now a 2v1, what was an advantage for the attackers, is no longer there, but Boya making a kill onto Gonzo, trying to make it a little bit closer. 1v1, the gunfight comes up, but Hijinks is going to win it. Slammers get their first round of defense won.
Put themselves on the board, and I'm sure the boys are very happy to hear that. That came through. I think most of it had to do with the push that Shenanigans opted for. That rush through bathroom, something that we don't typically see, but when you have those soft walls there, it turns bathroom into a kill site, right? More of like a hornet's nest, right? Really hard to really push through there. And Slammers are able to take advantage of that and grabs a win from themselves. But we're actually going to go back downstairs, cafeteria, garage. Might just be a 2-site series here, Wes.
Yeah, they're going to be running it back. We talked about this site. This is statistically the best site. They lost it that first round. Really, Smiles getting those opening kills helped a lot, though, for the attackers. And so we'll see. What do they do? I mentioned the roam game before. Hopefully they can bring that. You need to buy more time, right? They can't be getting the floor opened up with half a round left.
Exactly.
And you already have the hatches open, and then they're already on yellow, having the control there. So there's just a lot of things that were missing from that defense. They didn't buy enough time. They weren't aggressive enough. They gave up a lot of key power positions too early. They lost the opening engagement. So things like that. If they can clean it up, this should be a pretty winnable bomb site.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Something I want to bring up as well, Wes, and this is something that a lot of players have never ran into, where on LAN is completely different than online, right? And that comes down to online, you can just swing things, right? Now, don't get me wrong, Smiles has been able to successfully swing angles beforehand, but when you hold angles, it is definitively in the holder's advantage instead of peeker's advantage, which is typically see online at times, because there is no latency for when someone's model is going to be within your sights. So lane is really going to be benefiting the players that sit down, hold angles, and are really just able to set up refrags as much as possible, which we've been able to see Shenanigans do very successfully, like I said before.
Seeing some operators being brought, I want to make mention of the dock. Not someone often brought. You see sometimes upstairs they're brought because they can help hold the yellow stairs, which I didn't see them do on their defense. But you could, and the reason is they usually try and nade you out in that position. Dock able to help your teammate get helped and also over heal you so you can take the damage without getting down, things like that. Here, though, not so useful, so it's more of a comfort pick. You mentioned comfortability with the bomb sites, right? It's also comfortability with the operators. Now, Jackal, another one being brought, he can see these footsteps, he can scan it and ping the location of the defender. Now, it depends on what color that footprint is. It's going to allow him to have more pings the brighter the color is.
Right, like the recency of when someone had stepped in that area, right? So the attack from Shenanigan has put them already in the basement with these more of these reinforcements on to the walls. Oh no, then he gives them information, and they can't have any lines of sight there as Jigbone grabs up yet another opening frag from Shenanigans, quickly followed up by Smiles. Look at a 5v3. There's still a minute and a half left on the board, Wes. Yet another kill just falls through. He's able to drone in. Jigbone grabs another one for himself. He doesn't need any teammates here, leaving Macaroni all by his lonesome to fight up against Jigbone, but you cannot. That's a 3-piece for him, and yet another round here, 1 for the Shenanigans roster.
Yeah, once the first kill came in, it just started pour, and all the kills coming in favor, basically, of Shenanigans. Now, 1 kill for Macaroni. He made it not a flawless round on the side of Shenanigans, but a near flawless round. That execute really well done. The criticism I would have there,
right? And you have some criticism sometimes.
Oh, yeah. This is my bread and butter.
Right.
Slammers didn't have any, again, no real roam game, but also no one was even really watching that backside. We saw the Jackal just walk down the stairs. They just reinforced the doors and thought, good enough. It wasn't.
It was not good enough at all. And this is the problem that some teams run into, is that when you are clearing up lines of sight, you need to make sure that those lines of sight cannot just be opened up and just bite you in the butt. And that's kind of what we saw there, unfortunately. And this is the problem when you come to the garage site as a whole. While it is the strongest, you have to hold all these angles. You have to have this information. And either somebody was not on cams, right? They had a Valkyrie, right? They had an Echo. Someone was not on the cams providing the information, or maybe it was just a late call out by the teams. Jigbone was really just able to walk on and get as much as he wanted for here from Shenanigans. We're already switching bomb sites here. This is the first floor. Finally, a new bomb site here, Wes.
Because you talk about cams. Well, look, there's no Echo like you'd normally see on a lobby hold. There's no cams from the Valkyrie. All they're bringing is a bulletproof cam on the Jaeger, which is very strange because this is a bomb site, right? That is very hard to hold.
It is a bomb site.
Thank you. It's hard to hold. Right. You want that verticality. This is one of those where you need to hold above, because the more time you can buy up there, they have to clear it out, right? Because if they try and just push, if you have that vertical control yourself as a defender, you can use those angles and shoot them and deny that plant. Well, the problem I'm seeing is they haven't been very comfortable with that roam. They haven't really utilized it whatsoever. So looking at it now, we do see a couple bodies. You see the outlines there. So there are some orange outlines above. So if they are going to be doing an upstairs hold to a certain degree, I'm just worried that, they're not going to designate enough manpower. And without the cams to feed you information, that's going to make it way harder to.
Yeah, and overall, the holds that we see from Slammers have not been focusing on any vertical play. When they're sitting in the cafeteria garage area, they've not been dedicating anyone to the first floor. When they are sitting in the console meeting area, they haven't been dedicating anybody for first floor either, right? So they've been really just having more of a linear hold, and we'll criticize linear attacks all day long, but linear holds are potentially even worse. But it has been being a big problem here for Slammers is they do have some players dedicated upstairs, and that's going to be the second kill for them as Gonzo grabs up Splatter. That is your hard breacher. There's your ace off the table here, and this is showing a lot of success for Slammers Soul this round.
Well, yeah, I guess the information wasn't all that important from the cams. They're able to just know where these attackers are pushing from. Now, this is the problem. You mentioned just one-dimensional pushes, and that's kind of what we saw. They just went into the meat grinder, and they're getting punished for it.
We saw the bathroom as well.
Yes.
Yep.
So my problem here is they didn't go on the west side of the map at all. It was everyone pushing from the east. And had they put some pressure, maybe on the windows of Projector, which is that room towards the south here in the middle of the map. But hey, 2 kills falling in favor of Shenanigans, and TK coming
Let's make
out
it 3.
as well. So, interesting decision there. But hey, you still brought it back a little bit, right? So now you're going to get a kill from Boya onto its Gonzo, and that's going to bring it back to an even man count now. So while things looked a little dire before, they can still very well do this. It's a 2v2, a minute remaining.
And all of that has come from the information provided by Jigbone. He was able to effectively identify where all of the defenders were sitting upstairs, and because they weren't moving, they were able to be taken down one at a time. We saw there's Gonzo wasn't even able to move, right? He was just in there prone, and he had no clue that he was going to get shot before he was gone and taken away from the equation here. Mezp and Hijinks by themselves onto the first floor. Scratch that, make that just Hijinks, as Mezp just got slammed by Vuya upstairs, and they're going to be dropping down to the first floor, trying to figure out where he's at, and there it goes. Jigbone finishing out yet another round here for Shenanigans. Hijinks just not able to clear it out for his team.
Right, and we talked earlier about letting rounds slip. Well, that was definitely one of them, right? You have a 5v3 advantage, man advantage, and then you just start to die. People didn't peel back enough. They held their positions too long when they had already given the enemy that information, right? That's where the kills came from. You can back off at that point. You have a man advantage. Play that man advantage. They didn't. They took ones, they lost ones, and then Shenanigans is able to just ride that momentum through to the end of the round. Now they're up 4-1 on attack on Consulate. Not super surprising, but it is still worrisome because those rounds could have been won by the defense.
Yeah, this is going to be the second to last round before the switch. Consulate generally considered more of attacker-sided as a map, but not so much as you would think, right? 4-1 right now, you're getting a little bit of dire straits here if you are Slammers. Really need to be focusing on that round switch as well to see, can Slammers do the same thing that Shenanigans has been doing here? Those executes, right? Well, I would say less executes, more winning their fights, right?
Right, winning the ones. That's
yes,
what they're really good at. That's what we've seen. The other thing to keep in mind is they've been clutch. So they have, especially Jigbone, coming in the later rounds, been able to bring it home for his team, get those last remaining kills, and just help them out a lot. But overall, if we look at the kills, I mean, 4 on Smiles is the lowest title at Bramster. Having a hard time saying that name. Abramster. But the most is 6, so like that's very consistent across the board. That this is showing that this is a strong team. They don't have to rely on star power, right? There's not one player. We saw Smiles, yeah, I got a 3 kill in the first round, and then since then, everyone else has been stepping up. On the other side of things, they're pretty even across the board themselves, but you need Mezp to step it up a little bit here. I'm not trying to call anyone out and be mean.
Right, but when you're looking at 1 and 5 on your Jaeger, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's a little bit rough here. Is that's generally something that you're looking at getting a bit more frags for the team.
Well, maybe on this roll he will have more success. On this bomb site. They did win this bomb site,
right?
So if it's going to happen, this is the time, right? Now, I do see the extension over here by Macaroni into admin, and I like that, right? Not giving up that side of the map. We saw that was a struggle in basement. They gave up the same side of the map, the east side, and then they lost control too fast, and then it just snowballed. Well, here, they're actually going to have someone over here protecting that rear side of the bomb site, of the floor, at least, of that bomb site. So I like the adjustment here.
Yeah, and they're looking more, putting some pressure here on the west side of the building. We're seeing some Nomads deployed. Now, Nomad, interesting operator. This is going to be the first time that's been brought by these teams. Splatter rocket that operator. Nomad essentially has these air jabs, which when a defender becomes within their proximity, they get knocked into their butt, potentially even through walls, depending on if they're soft or not. What that operator is going to be able to do is to provide flank coverage. So as these attackers, or as these defenders are going to try to rotate to potentially get some kills from a flank here, they are not able to, as they're knocked on their butt and they're kind of left helpless for a few seconds here, letting the attackers get any execution that they want.
Seeing Splatter here, upside down repel, and it's a dangerous game, and he loses it, unfortunately. Mobar getting another opening kill. Has been pretty consistent at that for his team, and so that's going to help them have a little bit more of an advantage here. A lot of time burned by the attackers, right? They didn't really push much, but Bremster going to get a refrag onto him in pretty quick succession.
Crossfire?
And these angles being held, you're mentioning the crossfire is really dangerous coming up from Shenanigans. It's going to help them try and get this plant down, but so far, they still haven't been able to get it into the bombs.
Yeah, the crossfires that were set up there by Shenanigans just were amazing. There was nowhere from Mopar to go, and now we've led this into a man advantage here. Mask trying to do something for his team, trying to, we were talking about him making a name for himself here. This is really where it's at, and it's kind of on him to stem the bleeding here as yet another player in his team falls down. But Bremster is actually down currently. Jigbone grabs up yet another player. Gonzo just having a rough time fighting that Jackal.
They can't plant in that corner. It's technically not part of the bomb site. So you see Booyah had to drop that diffuser. It's the same button to plant. So that just explains that. But it's a 2v2 essentially with the Bremster down. He's not being helped up because he's on the other side. In enemy territory, Macaroni going to get killed onto Jigbone. So now Booyah going to have to defend this diffuser by himself. A 1v2 here. And these two defenders pushing in, trying to pinch him. He's going to get killed onto one of them. Macaroni off the board. And finding the second one, he clutches it out. A 1vx situation, essentially. And he wins it.
And Ouya, crazy player. Built different, I'd have to say. At least right here. There is not many players, I would say, that can sit there and win 1v2s when you're getting swung on by both angles, right? There is not many players that can do that. And this comes down to a kind of a miscommunication by the Slammers roster, right? Because they didn't coordinate their swing. They let him take the 1v1 fights and kind of let him make it winnable for himself, right? Taking two 1v1s, not the easiest thing, mind you, but when you present that, they get the option. If you swing them at the exact same time, you count down 1, 2, 3, we're both going to swing them, puts them into a rough spot. But it looked like that the players that were trying to retake their site had no clue that where his positioning was. That is definitely a problem.
Right, and the problem too is he's in the default position behind the desk where you normally would plant. That's a default plant spot. So you'd expect the plant just went down. He's probably there. Now, I do want to give credit though. They did look like they were trying to push together, but the timing isn't always on point, right? And unfortunately, he was able to use that desk to take ones, right? He can lean one way. He's being blocked from the other angle, so he played it smart. I want to give credit to him.
No, definitely. Very smart.
For playing it out and winning. But hey, switch sides now. We talked about that. The first 6 rounds is one side, and now you switch to the other side. So Shenanigans going to have their first round of defense, and they're going to the strongest bumps that we mentioned, the basement hole.
Right, and now that we have finally switched sides, Shenanigans kind of shows what they're made of on the defensive half, and it really down to Slammers who show up. They are going to be bringing the Nomad and kind of bringing more of this Thermite, which I was talking about beforehand. Definitely an operator. Got buffed recently, able to open up these huge holes into the garage. But more importantly, I would say when it comes to the operators that are polarizing in this matchup, Mira survived the banning phase, not typically done, as Mira has turned into an operator that's almost nearly banned every single time if it can be. And if she can be. What she does, she puts these one-sided mirrors in place, and that's going to let the defenders know when they need to properly swing. But another operator that they have not seen up until this point that's not being brought is a Rooney. And her Suya Gates are crazy good for being able to divide up a map and prevent the attackers from getting free space.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind, Jigbone getting the opening kill on the Macaroni, for sure one thing to keep in mind here. But refrag by Gonzo onto Booyah is going to keep it an even man count. But the mirrors, I just want to bring up, it's kind of like that Panopticon, I think is the term, 1984. Yeah.
Right.
If you have that mirror there looking, it's like Big Brother's always watching. You don't know if someone's actually there or not, so you have to respect it. You can't just push in and just assume no one's there. Now, drone work could help you identify if someone's there or not. But again, that's not always the easiest thing. Mass playing kill on the splatter, though, so it's already going to make these attackers have a little bit of an advantage here. A lot of damage also done to Bremster.
Yeah, the information comes through that the defenders have backed off a bit, and that really quick movement by Moper was able to catch Bremster in a route back to the bomb site. Now suddenly, Jigbone is all by himself as Smiles was not able to retreat back. There is an escape route in the bathroom, I think. They actually opened up that hatch, so he's able to get back to site mostly safely if need be, but he has to be careful because yellow is a potential problem here as Slammers currently have control of it. Jigbo's not really able to contest right now as he's trying to hold back, wait a second to use his C4 when the plant starts being put down.
I just can kill onto Smiles. He was just trying to harass them, buy more time for his teammate, hopefully get a kill, right? Because you're in a man disadvantage. You got to do what you can. But unfortunately, he's the one who's taken out. And 1v4 now. Jigabone, he's been pretty successful in this matchup. A nice headshot on the mess, but the refrag by Hijinks is going to get another round for Slammers. They're not done yet. They're going to show us they can do it on attack.
Yeah, and that really comes down to their communication, operator choice even. We saw how they really blocked the attackers, or blocked the defenders from repositioning properly, and really their style of execution very quickly. We didn't talk about it during it, but Thermite got open that wall, that big garage door area, incredibly quickly into the round, and it really prevented the defenders from shenanigans to kind of rotate around inside their site, because now suddenly there's this huge hole that you have to respect in the same way that you have to respect a mirror, right? When these sight lines are created, it's scary. You can't just move back and forth. So that's just going to allow Slammers to really turn that map control into a round win at the end of the day. But we're going to be moving over to an archives. Tell us, first time this bomb site's actually going to be seen here, Wes.
Yeah, this is one of the weirdest bomb sites in all of Siege because it's 2 bombs on different floors, right? So we have one in Tellers, which is on first floor, and then in basement, right below, is archives. So very odd. We don't see that almost always. They're on the same floor right next to each other, essentially 2 different rooms adjacent to each other. Here, it's not the case. So what do? Well, you almost always bring a pulse with whose splatter is playing. And then you bring a bunch of C4s, which every single defender here, 5 different C4s.
Oh my
so they're just
gosh.
going to try and blow up these attackers trying to push into the floor above. And that's typically what's going to happen. These attackers are going to try and get vertical control, and they'll try and flesh out some of these players in the basement hold, and hopefully get the kill on the pulse, for example, so you can't feed the information. Just to speak about pulse for those who might not know, he has this cardiac scanner, and what that does is you can basically see this little circle that's red, and if he sees that, that's a player's heartbeat. So he can feed information to his friends and say, hey, there's a player here. And we talked about how destructible the floors are on this map, almost all of them. There's some exceptions to that, but almost all of them are destructible. Well, C4 from below will kill you right there.
Very much so. You can kind of see how they have opened up holes here so they can further prevent any plants that try to get put down. This player's actually rocking the shotgun, which we don't typically see here from both players. It's sometimes popular, depends on the player. But he's going to be using most of his bullets to just open up the floor. Something along the lineup of shenanigans that's being brought here. If you notice that it's very focused on information gathering and information denial. You have Mozzie here, which you saw earlier, kind of shooting these little pests, and what those do is they get control of drones. And when he controls the drones, the Slammers have nothing that they can do about it, right? So they completely lose their drone to him. Vria's bringing in Mute. That's going to be denying a lot of space. That's kind of shuts down drone work as well. We already see the effectiveness of it as Slammers. They just lost a player, and that probably has to do with 3 drones already be taken off the table here, Wes.
Yeah, drone economy not going well. That's also the hard breach, though. Now, if you look at Capital, you can see the utility right next to his little gun symbol with the 231 bullets in his hand. Well, that is a hard breach. So there is technically like a backup, but it only makes this little square. It's usually useful for opening a hatch that's reinforced. It's not going to open up a big wall or hole in the wall like we saw on the garage that Thermite made. So now Thermite off the board going to really limit what options they can do with the hard destruction, but also just losing the man early. And a lot of time wasted as well because of the drones getting shot. They're running out of time here on this attacker slam.
That's a minute 20 left on the clock, and yet another kill coming through. This time, Hijinks finds one, and Macaroni finds another one, and Slammers now finds themselves in a man advantage. Macaroni realizes that he's being watched here, and he's going to try to plant, but we already see the C4 thrown from below, and he knows now that that was a bit of a mistake. Splatter able to get a kill for himself, and the man count has been evened up, but the diffuser's grabbed up underneath his eyes. He didn't realize that it's just gone, and now another plant's going to be coming through here. Mesp trying to get it down before the C4 gets thrown, but the C4 was just thrown, but not taking them out. He's on a sliver of HP, but thankfully able to survive, and suddenly now the plan that shenanigans have set up, it's falling around them.
Yeah, they kind of failed to execute on that defense. They didn't have the C4 placed properly. Mesp getting a kill on his splatter. Smiles, though, will get a refrag on Hijinks. It's still a 2v2. Now, the thing on this is the diffuser is down, so they have to have 7.5 seconds to defuse the diffuser, if you will. Smiles going to get down. Voya getting a kill on the Mesp, though, so it's essentially a 1v1 now. Voya, and it's Gonzo. No, Gonzo has the advantage here. They have to push him. Did help his teammate up. Smiles will be eliminated, though, so it's still that 1v1 we have just seen. He doesn't have the time, though, even if he gets the kill. Unfortunately, not enough time to get the defuse. That will be a round 1 just by time for Slammers on pack.
Yeah, and very unfortunate from shenanigans. This is the problem when you're fully commit to one strategy, right? And their strategy was, we're going to hold downstairs, we're going to C4 every single planter that tries to find a safe spot. And unfortunately, the second that they were able to get the plant down, everything falls away. And they were not prepped. They were not in position for a plan B. That is a problem sometimes. Teams have this issue where they don't really practice the retakes a lot of the time, right? We don't really think about, hey, how do we retake this site once the worst case scenario happens? And this is what happens when you don't have a secondary plan for it.
Yeah, and I think it was just a misplay is really what it was. The Pulse put away his scanner, didn't see them pick it up, and then they're already in a corner. He has to rush over. And the ping might have been wrong where he was pinging because it didn't look like they were looking right where that player was when he was planting. And so the C4, because of that misinformation, the miscommunication, whatever it might have been, they don't get the kill. He's down to sliver HP, but the plant went down. All of a sudden, these defenders now have to push and act like attackers trying to retake this bomb site, while the attackers can sit back and just defend the diffuser now. So,
and time is on their side in that situation.
Exactly. So that's hard for those defenders. Could have been one. We're going to see they're not repeating bomb sites that they've lost, though. They didn't go back to Grudge. They're not going back to that Archives and Tellers. They're going now to the lobby, that first floor with both the bomb sites on that first.
Yeah, this is lobby press sometimes called piano, courtesy of the giant piano that's there, of course. And what we've talked about before, how this is a site that's really hard to hold, and that mainly stems from the fact that all of these angles have to be careful to watch for outcore. Those angles get opened up from outside, these long angles, and open up on these windows. So you see where Smiles is running right now in these windows that are boarded up right currently, but are going to get opened up in the future. Suddenly Smiles would be stuck in this position because he wouldn't really have a way to retreat out of it. And that is the problem with this site as a whole, and this is why players have to opt to hold upstairs, because as long as you're holding upstairs, you can kind of prevent the attackers from entering the building at the very least.
Right, or at least not in those bomb sites, right? They can't jump through the windows, they can't walk through that front door by the circle desk. They would have to come in through like yellow stairs, and even then, if you're holding above, you can still have that hole so you can look down and see them if they're trying to plant. Again, we can talk about information, right? Information is huge in this game. We have the Mozzie yet again. He can capture those drones and use them for himself, so he gets control of the attacker drones when he captures them. We see a black eye camera thrown outside. Mopar, though, going to get killed on the splatter, open things up, so things are looking good for Slammers. They're trying to carry this momentum. They were down 5-1 at the split. They've already won 2 in a row on attack, so very much an attacker-sided console like we had talked about. Mopar getting another kill. Mess going to take out Jigbone as well, and while this is a 2v5 and a 2v4 now, Booyah trying to get this back into action on his team. Bramster also going to get a kill on the hijinks, so things are not lost yet. A 2v3 now, plenty of time. Bramster getting another one onto Mopar. 2v2, these defenders trying to pull it back.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they are willing to give it out easy. Macaroni's going to be getting the planter uncontested, however. Suddenly, Shenanigans needs to retake their site yet again, and they had problems with that previously. It's even worse in this spot because of the long angles that Macaroni and Gonzo can hold. I'm not actually sure where Gonzo's positioning. It looks like on the other side of the map. And he's actually holding down the diffuser from a different angle. And it's going to be hard for Shenanigans just to drop down and try to get it diffused here without being contested.
Oh my goodness.
Well, they could just kill him.
Nice shot onto that player outside of the building. That's so hard. And now it's all up to Gonzo in a 1v2, and they can get this plant down, but they don't have a lot of time. If he can stop this person diffusing this, it will be a round 1 on time alone. Now they're going to have to be watching, and he's not. Where's your teammate, Booyah? They weren't watching the right angle. Gonzo just going to win this on time, but he's going to actually just get the kills for his troubles, and that's going to seal another round for Slammers. 3 in a row in attack.
Shenanigans was looking very strong in attack, right? We talked about their executions, we talked about their drone work and everything. Problem here, they have holes in their defense that are allowing Slammers to come in and get the plant. That's the problem with the site as well, is that is a standard plant spot. You run straight to the door, get the plant down, right? Now suddenly the defenders have to push even outside, right? And when they walk outside of the building, their positioning gets shown. And that is a huge issue here. And just with those holes in their play and their holds, Shenanigans has allowed Slammers to catch up 5-4. This is looking a little bit more winnable for Slammers, and makes me really hopeful that we're going to be bringing it to overtime.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that too. Now, on the other side of things, Shenanigans going to have to try and bring it back. They're going to go to that bomb site again, I believe. I'm not quite sure. But I want to point out, these rounds are so close for their defense, right? The problem is they just let it slip. What happens? Well, we just missed some information with the pulse. We didn't get the kill on the planter. Okay, we're losing opening engagements. We're trying to bring it back, but in bringing it back, we're leaving the bomb site open. They get the plant down. So this plant coming down has been the thorn in their side.
Right.
It's not as if they can't frag. We've seen them. They're even clutch to a certain degree. They just can't carry it all the way home on this round.
Yeah, and really just bringing it home is the name of the game here. You can't just let rounds slip so easily from your grasp. We're going to see a little bit of adjustments here on the attacker side. I do like the inclusion of Captain. We did see him last time, but his utility that he brings, very strong for denying space and protecting a diffuser even more here from Slammer. Shenanigans trying to bring a Frost as well. We talk about Frost in the kind of the banning phase, right? About how Frost has become very strong in this meta. She has this ability where she can put these bear traps down that are a little bit harder to see, right? I mean, when you're not looking down at your feet all the time. And that's going to completely down one of the attackers if they are not careful, needing to be brought back up by one of their buddies here. With that inclusion, with Smiles, of course, being on the Vigil, I am looking at a more roam-heavy game, which I do like. The problem with a roam-heavy game is you have to be careful on those refrags, because when you are by yourself in a different part of the map and you're not able to have any teammates nearby, you just be taken down. But it seems to be working for so far, as Hygien's just going to be taken down by a Bramster, and that's going to be putting him at 10 and 5 double digits currently. We're joining Guya in that regard.
Oh, Jake Bo1 just narrowly missing out on a kill on the player on the repel connector. Macaroni getting a kill on the Splatter. Splatter has been dying a lot for his team early in rounds, and that's unfortunate. Bramster, though, getting a kill on the Mopar, so they are going to maintain that man advantage, but these attackers trying to do the same kind of push that we saw last time. Push through the front door, try and get the plant in, but the coverage is still there. They don't have the man advantage they had last time, but these players have to kind of roam around the map, try and get kills to bring it back and leave site uncontested. Now they're still there, so this is very much in the favor of the defense at this point.
Right, and we see the defenders, they're kind of just like locked down right now. They're very willing to just sit here, wait for the attackers to kind of push through, make their presence known. With that arrow coming through, it does get the position away from Macaroni, and Bramster is able to capitalize. He is unfortunately down for his efforts, but the man advantage is still very firmly in the realm of Shenanigans, and Slammer's now forced to reposition to try to get their teammates back up.
Yeah, and they're going to be down trying to help their teammate up. Now Gonzo by themselves, both your teammates are downed, and these defenders now probably aware of this, and they're just going to be playing puppy guard. Let's see, can we get this last player killed? I hope they know, but the problem with this is a lot of times in regular game, if you've played this game, you have points. Well, in competitive play, you don't have points on. So you get points for knocking someone down. You would have had to check your scoreline by hitting the back button, or the tab button in this case, to see that score and know that you got the down. That's the only way you'd know. Or a sound cue, maybe. But they're outside, so you probably didn't hear that. So unfortunately, I don't think these defenders actually knew that they had those two attackers down, and now they're going to be in a 3v3 with their player down. Bramster not going to be able to get helped up, but from above, Booyah going to kill onto Gonzo, and these last two attackers with very little HP are going to have to do a last-ditch effort. Push. Best going to get kill onto Bramster. They're trying to make this happen, but Smiles says no, no, no. Macaroni off the board. Now it's all up to Mest, and he's going to push and get one kill, but is refragged. Dick Bo1 going to seal the deal, and Shenanigans finally able to find some success in defense.
And I think this is more what we were expecting when we transitioned back over to the, when they were going to be moving on to the defense, right? Shenanigans able to set up these crossfires, able to set up these refrag potentials that they did so successfully on attack, and really put Slammers into a rough spot, and this is what happened here. Even though they did not capitalize off of getting two down players because of the low HP, it really allowed a player like Booyah from his power position up top just secure the win for the teams. And now we are in dire straits, Wes, as Slammers currently staring down match point.
Right, first to 7 wins. Now, if you get to 6-6, that's overtime, like we had mentioned. So
right.
Slammers needs to win 2 more rounds. They'll find themselves in overtime. Then it's a best of 3 rounds there. Whoever gets those 2 rounds will win it out. So first to 8, basically. But we're not there yet, right?
Yeah, these are best of ones, by the way.
Yes, and these are best of ones. So only one map. So it's all or nothing in these matchups between these two teams. And then you obviously will move forward in the tournament to see where your seeding and placements will be, depending on your win-losses. But looking at the bomb site, they're going to go back to the strongest one, like we had mentioned. They haven't really been back here since the first time where they lost it. So curious to see what adjustments they'll make. Of course, trying to not lose men early. That's been a problem for the defenses, where they lose 1 or 2 players and then they find themselves on their back foot a lot of the time.
Right. You know, and something that can really help with this when you're trying to get your aim down is Kovacs, by the way. I'm not sure if you knew, Wes, but if you want to snag some extra scholarship dollars, you can head over to the Kovacs station. It's actually here in the building. They compete against other students nationwide for a chance to win, am I reading this right, $7,500. That's not too bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, you just gotta click heads.
It's easy for Ed.
Right? just click heads, right? And just shoot. But we're going to be seeing this defense here relatively stock overall. Those bandit batteries, these electrified batteries, will be keeping the garage double door there. I guess a triple wall, actually, under lock and key, forcing the attackers through a different round. Now, Mesp can, in fact, open it up. But you'll notice here, Mesp, or you notice here, Wes, Mesp does not have any Twitch drones left.
Yeah, unfortunate to utilize the utility in a way that hasn't been very productive, right? I don't know how much they gained from it. Maybe they got some of the bandit charges off the wall, hopefully, but it doesn't look like it, right? So unfortunately, that's kind of wasted utility, and they're going to have to just figure out another way to get this wall opened up, which is, you know, the traditional thing. We have to clear out the map, clear out specifically the piano room right here near Gonzo, which is going to start droning and try and get that done. But a lot of time also going to be burned to do this.
Yeah, it seems that Mopar was able to successfully open up something that was probably the garage door through the efforts of the rest of his team here. They don't have a lot of hard breach necessarily on the table, with only the Thermite 2 exothermic charge, yes, that we did see there. For a split second, the wall was in fact open. They're not shooting defaults, though, which is a big of a problem, as Jigbone's getting a bunch of information upstairs, as well as a Bramster. He now knows where Gonzo is playing at, and that's going to allow Splatter, who's currently sitting here up on the first floor, information needed to potentially not lose his life and get a few kills in the process.
So here's a marked difference between these two teams, right? The first defense we saw not work out really for the defense of Slammers and Splatter, getting a kill onto Mopar. But I'm just looking at the time. They haven't gotten any destruction done, and a lot of time, only a minute remaining now. Bramster going to kill onto Hijinks. Macaroni going to refrag onto Splatter, but they're still in a man disadvantage here. It's a 4v3, a minute remaining, and these attackers just do not have the control that they really would want to get this plant out.
Yeah, even though they got all of the information, right, they were able to take down their extended hold by Splatter. Because they have not been denying the information here from the defenders, it's putting them into dire straits. 40 seconds left on the clock now. Macaroni trying to get the plant, but he is unfortunately taken down by Smiles. While there's a refrag comes through Mesp, when you're at man disadvantage, the refrags are definitely a problem, as you need to shore this up. Jigbone grabs up another kill. He's been the star-studded player here from Shenanigans. Need the rest of the team trying to shore up right now, as Mesp is left alone outside of the building. Can't even walk inside as Smiles shuts him down. Shenanigans takes the round and also the map here on Consulate.
Yeah, they're going to win 7-4. So while it looked a little troublesome on their defenses initially, they seal it up at the end, and they get that W. So congratulations, Shenanigans, on winning this matchup against Slammers. Really good job from the Slammers, though. They didn't let the 5-1 get to them. They were able to win some of those rounds, try and make it more competitive, a little bit closer of a matchup. So I want to congratulate both teams. But in the end, you know, the W is what feels good. So Shenanigans probably feeling good right now.
Feels a bit good, right? It always feels good to get those wins, especially on land.